Doing something for the first time is wild. And when you think of the outdoors, it's inherently wild. I think the most important thing for me is sharing an activity, sharing what I love with people that have not experienced that or have some kind of barrier related to it. The magic of being able to create that bond, that connection with an activity, a person, a place, that's special. Welcome in to another episode of Sincerely Yours Outdoors. How's everyone feeling?
Good. A little nervous, but good. A little nervous.
I mean, you're a rock star. We should be nervous.
I'm lying. I'm a lot nervous. I'm lying.
Admittedly, I am hot.
Overheated?
It was scorching out today. I just got my tan in.
Oh, you did.
I sweated through the shirt a couple
Ancestors
times.
came through.
It was hot.
The
was so
roots are
hot.
coming through.
Yeah. But I feel good. It felt good. Good but warm.
You know.
Yeah.
We'd like to see if you're really committed. Just sweat it out of them.
Yeah. Hey.
Undoubtedly
Don't
committed.
ask fewer questions. That was the whole plan.
Oh, this is great.
How you feeling, Marco?
Man, I'm feeling good.
Are you as hot?
I mean, I'm a little warm. Thankfully, I got the dogs out to let the air in. Because boy, yeah, I knew once I put them shoes on, yeah, it's gonna be a back sweat. But things are good. I'm enjoying the time here. It's a pleasure to spend it with you, my friend.
Pleasure to meet you guys.
Yeah.
It was a good day.
How about you tell us where we are? I think we're in a different spot, but this is home turf for you.
Yes, we are at BLJ Community Rowing. We are, our footprint, we're pretty much a little bit past our footprint, but on the Schuylkill, the Schuylkill River. And yeah, this is where I spend, 13, 14, 15 hours a day, which is depressing.
We thank you for that. You play a vital role.
Somebody just asked me that. They were like, oh, so what are you doing? I'm like, I'm literally on water more than I'm on dry land. And then I was just like, that's probably why I'm single. And then it just all dissolved from there. Like, oh, I'm going to work on that. I wrote a vision board. Get a boyfriend. I wrote it down. It's happening. I can feel it.
Manifesting. Manifestation.
Manifesting. So yeah, but we're Schuylkill, Philly, on Kelly Drive.
Yeah, this is my 6th or 7th time being here. I've normally just hit the trail and just bike by, but Derek's first time in Philly.
Yeah. Literally the first time touching down here in Philly.
First impressions?
It was great. I mean, of course, I have just through the lens of seeing the work that you've done. I mean, literally, we drove straight in, got out of the car, came right out here to see the work that you were doing. So I think Philly's excellent, so it was awesome, the things that we've seen to this point, to see your team in action, to see the way you all are, nourishing and feeding curiosity for people as it relates to rowing was so cool to see in action.
Thank you. Yeah, we are really proud of that. So.
Yeah. Well, we want to open the floor up to give you the space to introduce yourself. You wear so many different hats, do so many different things, and I think your accolades and importance to the rowing space should be stated, and I don't want to describe them because I want you to do that. I know some people are like, I don't want to flex on people, but no, you should.
We can lead you to that direction if you don't say it.
I know, but talking about myself is such my least favorite thing to do. Okay, well, my name is Brannon Johnson. Many, many moons ago. No, I'm kidding. So I started rowing in middle school. So I grew up, great parents. I'm one of 5. And we were inner city, really, really rough neighborhood, drug dealers right next to us. And my parents were really smart about making sure we did non-traditional things. You know, my brothers, of course, everybody played hoops. We're all tall. And somehow we stumbled into like a learn to row summer camp. And it was ironic because we played basketball more than we actually rowed. And it was about teaching Black kids how to row. And we actually were on the basketball court more, which I to this day, I still am like. But it stuck. And for me, I think my dad, somebody had a conversation with my dad about when Title IX passed, a lot of colleges picked up women's rowing. And, you know, there was like, they were like, this is a great opportunity for her. I was a ballerina. So I thought I was going to be the next Judith Jameson. I was so sure of it. So it's rowing. I was like, rowing? Hot? Nah. So obviously I lost that bet. Battle. And yeah, so I started, I really loved, I started rowing the single. I really loved just the peace that I got, you know, when you grow up in this really, really, you know, chaotic neighborhood. And then I have a really, really great family, but I'm one of 5. So, you know, people everywhere. The only peace I was getting whenever I shoved off the dock was like, you don't realize you're in one of the largest cities in the country when you're out there. So I just started getting good. People started taking notice. Started training for a junior national team, and then yeah, colleges came knocking, and started winning some races, and I got recruited, went to University of Texas, and then started right from there. It was just like training for a national team. I got to start traveling, which was amazing, seeing the world, and it really started to change my, as we were talking about earlier, my perspective and my focus about, you know, I really could be a bridge. When I was looking at my cousins and, you know, looking at everyone I was matriculating through life with, I had better choices because rowing was offered, you know, and, you know, when you have options, you can make better choices. If you don't have options, you have what you have, you know, and I really am incredibly passionate about providing those options because it can change your life. I think rowing is absolutely a vehicle to a better life. I was the first in my family to go to college, and you know, so many doors were opened, and, you know, watching like our coaches now go through and meet people and really be able to move through life and maneuver in this Black skin, in this very, very white sport has been really phenomenal. And I think that's really my legacy. It's going to be, you know, we're the bridge. We're that place where we're a boathouse without walls. We're going to come and get, if you come, you're going to get what you need. And we're going to make sure you're good. So that's kind of some of it.
Yeah.
Is that an acceptable answer?
That leads me to a number of different places. Well, you mentioned how much time you spend on the water, inevitably with training as well, like young Brannon to Brannon now. Like, do you listen to music?
Yes, less young Brannon. Young
No,
Brannon.
that's not the implication. Do you listen to music? Like, what do you listen to?
When I'm training or just in general?
On the water,
On
like
the
when
water.
you're training. And outside of it, of course, I'm assuming you listen to music.
So
Tell us what you listen
this is
to.
gonna get me in trouble.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so you
Okay.
cannot listen. There's no headphones out on the water.
No headphones.
There's no headphones out on the water.
Okay.
There's no music. It's like it's just you and your thoughts. And, you know, my dad is a big mental toughness guy. Like my dad loved Les Brown. I don't know if you guys know him.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
like Les Brown, everything. So
Okay.
mental toughness and mental focus. So,
Yeah.
but I do listen to music. I love music. I'm a Nina Simone girl.
Okay.
Uh,
Go ahead, mama. Go ahead, sister.
I do. I love her. She's bad. I do. Talib Kweli.
Okay.
Love him. Anytime Raphael Sadiq is in concert, he's going to be in concert in September. He's going to be here. Love Raphael Sadiq.
Okay.
I'm going to see him in concert. Like, all of my cousins already know, like, they're all buying tickets because I'm coming. I love him. So if Raphael Sadiq is watching that, I love you. So I still train in my single, though, because I think, like, working out and staying fit in my single makes me a better coach. I also like so I can whip up on the youngins. Like, you know, you're not that fast. You have more work to do. So I did start putting headphones in I did start putting my headphones in, which is really, it's illegal, and I love it.
Okay.
So last row I did the whole river, and I was playing, oh, it was so much fun. Sebi,
Okay.
Yeba,
Okay.
who else came through?
Okay.
I was cooking. I was like cooking. I was
Okay.
passing people. Who else came on?
got some
it
heat.
was so bad. It was so bad. Old Kanye came on. College Dropout. Cruising.
Who won it?
Cruising. And then Mos Def came through.
Wow.
I'm like, I was cruising. So I was like laughing because I kept turning my head so people couldn't see that I had headphones in. Cooking. I flew through like 2 hits. I was like, oh, you're killing it. No, I had to take a nap when I got back in because I was like, you're 40.
So tired.
You're 40. I got to remember when I put the button on, like, you're 40. So now you must sleep. But yeah, so yeah. Don't tell anybody that though.
Well, I promise I won't.
I won't do it again.
So, music is a written, or music with headphones is a written or like unwritten rule? Is it just kind of like, because I feel like it's parallels to the running community. It's like run without headphones, but then like you see people running with headphones
Right.
and it's like fine
Right.
until it's like not fine.
Right.
You know, so like is that a written or unwritten rule?
I think it's frowned upon in all of the establishments. You also have to be able to communicate. So if you're passing a boat, you have to be able to, if somebody's coming down on me and they're not looking behind them, I say look ahead.
Okay.
So you are communicating with the person.
Fair. Okay.
So it's definitely a thing. But I mean, if I had one in, but yeah, like it's not like running because you can kind of maneuver around
Yeah.
someone. Now we've got speed, we've got paddleboarders out, traffic patterns. So you've got to be able to like, so if somebody yells to me that I'm coming up on them, I need to be able to turn, I need to be able to see and make the necessary adjustments.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Good context, sir.
Interesting. Teaching me.
Yeah.
There you go.
Learning here on the set.
Learn
I'm in a
a lot.
posture of absolute learning from you on this stage.
I mean, honestly,
And it's
next
with
time
this
you guys
podcast.
come, we'll put you on a boat. I know you were not doing it today, but
I was already
today,
sweating through my shirt.
Just standing and watching, we were sweating.
just by breathing.
Yeah.
We were sweating.
Oh,
We'll
man.
put you. We'll get you out on a cooler day.
Cool. Count me in.
You had referenced that, you participated in the Fairmount Park Community
Yeah.
Learn to Row program? And at some point you evolved into leading or facilitating some community.
We actually run a
events
Learn to
there,
Row
right?
for Fairmount Park Conservancy now.
So it's full circle then.
Yeah. Fairmount Park has really been good to us. I mean, I think, partnering with the park, I think is so on mission because we don't have walls, and I think that they like us because we're very good stewards of the park. That we're cleaning up not only just the land, but also the river. And, we have people that were picnicking and they went in and we got them life vests and we're kind of educating. Once COVID hit, we had this huge influx of every Black people coming from North Philadelphia down to the park because you couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And, there was a very interesting cultural shift because it was like, oh, we've got to put up gates and we've got to do this and we've got to, and the lovely thing is I was on that call and I was in those meetings and I'm like, no, this is a point. This is a chance to educate all of these Black people about an outdoor space. Let's change this narrative. So our life vests are never locked up. They're always, we have people ask questions, and my favorite was 3 Black guys, and they came down. They had like a kayak, 3 church chairs, and a cooler. And I'm
ready.
like, this ain't gonna be good, So I'm like, and I'm not like, I come and just ask them questions, like, so guys, like, what are we doing? It was like an inflatable kayak. They're like, oh yeah, we're going out. I'm like, can you all swim? And they're like, I mean, like, we're all right, And I'm like, do you know the weight limit on the kayak that you've purchased? Because it's only for 2. And I remember one of the guys was like, Tyrone, I knew you didn't know what you was doing. But I was just like, it was such a wonderful, teachable moment. And they wound up actually taking lessons with us, like, later that week. But it's like, that's why I'm here. Like, it was just like, and then the church chair on the inflatable kayak. Like, I just... so many questions. But I mean, for that not to be this like tense moment, it was like we're all laughing, they got what they needed. They stayed safe. And like, I really, really wanted, that to continue because we do inhabit outdoor spaces. We're out here. And it's like, if I didn't look the way I looked, that would have been a completely different interaction. But, they had a great time. They came to learn to row, and like it's really, really interesting. And they brought their kids the next year. So it's like that's where we're standing. That's why we're here.
Yeah. And I think we witnessed that today with the multi-generational engagement. Like everything that you've spoken about thus far is like, yeah, we literally saw that in action today, which is beautiful. But I do want to loop in, we had smaller interviews with your coaches and we asked one question, what does BLJ rowing mean to you? And they all said community. Yeah. Like that was the first thing that came out of everyone's mouth. So it's just so beautiful.
Without hesitation.
Yeah, that they felt that as a coach.
Yeah. And
then the stories that you're sharing of how people during the pandemic, post-pandemic, have come down to the water and just have been searching for something. Yeah. And like you said, when you come searching for something, you're gonna find it.
Yeah.
You will find it. And they found it here with you through the program. So it's just a living testament on our end to be able to see that in action, meet with someone that's doing that intentional work in a space that even you reference and where we're from. I mean,
yeah,
I see very few Black people, if any, rowing.
Right.
So I just want to commend you on that.
Thank you.
But also ask you that question directly. What does BLJ rowing mean to you? And this is a testament of your life, but like you've seen the duration from start to finish, from you being in it and living your life story to like.
Yeah. I'm going great. I think my coaches said it all. Yeah, I think it's really community. I think, my favorite quote is, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So like we're going together and the kids, keep us young and they want to be here and they don't even know why, and the older people come because the kids keep them young and they are invested in mentoring the kids. Like Kyle his first job was somebody that worked here that was a client. Like it's just, and it's not me. It's not me. It's when you put when you put people together, really wonderful things happen. And if you get yourself out of the way. So I think, I think rowing is the reason why we're here, but what has happened and what has manifested is so much bigger. And I think as long as we keep our eyes focused on the mission of community and keep building that way, I think we're going to be here for a really long time. So, my goal is to, this is going to outlive me, and I'm incredibly proud of that, really proud of it.
For sure.
Throughout this like experience, and I feel like we'll follow this with like having you articulate what BLJ is and things of that nature. Was there ever a moment, even from like, starting in that rec center, pulling that erg to like where you are now, where you had like an aha moment of like, unrelated to like accomplishment, where you were just like, oh, this is that moment. And some people can like articulate that to say like, this is when I discovered my why. Like why I'm doing what I'm doing or whatever that may be. Was there ever like that light bulb moment or like you were coasting through and then you were like, oh, that's it? To lead you to where you are now?
I have them more now. I think I started coaching in 2003. I started my business in 2006.
Okay.
If I'm 100% honest, I am now seeing the things that I dreamed now. Like I'm watching, Marcus, who is like a collegiate coach, fly home and want to be here. I'm not even paying him. And he's coaching Jaden, who goes to Girard College, which is where Marcus graduated from. And their conversation and that like intergenerational interaction is really like, that's what warms my heart and inspires me to keep going. I think as far as an epiphany, I was in a meeting, and when I first started out, there was a very prominent individual in the rowing world who told me why BLJ Community wouldn't work, and I didn't know the right people. I didn't know enough people. And, I remember exactly what I was wearing, and I remember where I was standing, and I remember how I felt. And then 10 years later, he needed a favor from me. And I granted it, I did it. But I remember where I was standing, and I remember what I was wearing, and I remember how I felt. And I think I was it was such an incredible epiphany because I was the same woman in both situations. And I think like now this is what I knew I needed to do this, and he told me not to, and then he needed me and us and this. And that's when that's one of my favorite sort of full circle moments, I would say.
And that speaks to your persistence of just like not quitting, because it's easy for when people are doubting, and we've articulated this in numerous episodes and podcasts of like, the naysayers are wide, the people that are saying keep going or yes or like, you're in it, those people are few, admittedly.
So I mean, honestly, I would say, I was talking to the kids about this a little bit earlier. I think social media is actually more of a problem than the naysayers. Like I think social media is like shrinking the work. So people are seeing like success, and they're seeing this, they're seeing they're seeing like today. And it's not like, listen, we started with like no launches.
Yep.
So I was bowing, and I rode more building my business than I did when I was training for the national team. Like,
Wow.
you come to the river and you coach when you feel like it, when you don't, when it's hot, when it's cold, when you have boats, when you don't. We lost our whole fleet in the flood. Like, and I was still putting the energy out. And I think that social media shrinks the work to a reel. And then it's like, no, like it's day in, day out, every day, period. And I think that monotony of like the real work is where I'm seeing people start to like lose interest. It's like, I didn't get it in 3 weeks. I didn't get it in 6 months. It's like, no, babe, I'm talking 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And then you start to see, like days like today.
And this is kind of on the same front as you, and it like bothers me when I hear it frequently, is slow motion is better than no motion, which inevitably there's going to be times in which there's going to be stagnation. And that's when people are like, oh, well, there's no motion. Got to kick it. Got to like pivot. Got to go to the next. When it's like, no, just sit in it.
Right.
Like you got to keep turning.
Right.
Like you got to keep grinding until you do like create that inch of motion, or when you do have that one person that's like, yeah, push me out. We'll go out there.
Right. Very true.
Because I'm sure there's like, when there were those days when you were like, dog, we're not moving. Like, there's no motion here. You could have been like, I'm out of here. And then that next week, someone was here and you were like, just the joy, I'm sure.
Yes.
At that point in time. So I like really try to debunk that, because it's like, no motion is just as valuable. Because at that point in time, you can sit and like think strategy and be like, what's going wrong here? Like, is it me? Is it the product? Is it the...
builds that like rugged sense of somebodiness. Like it builds that, like, I mean, the kids now, like something will happen and it's just like, I mean, like I've been homeless with small children. Like it takes a lot to rattle me. So we had like, it was like somebody was passing out and I'm just like, all right, first of all, let's just walk it through. And then like, nothing rattles you. And it's like, yeah, but I've been through. You'll get there because now you're starting to have to deal. But I think that rugged sense of somebody, that steel core of like, I've been out here when no one was. And we've built this thing one stroke at a time, one practice at a time, one person at a time, which is our motto. And there's no shortcut. You know what I mean? Like there's no elevator to success. You have to take the stairs. Period. And I think holding their feet to the fire is so incredible. It's like such a heavy lift, but now they hold me accountable too. You know what I mean? It's like are we? So I think it's so much of a conversation, and I think I'm learning to coach with silence and the quiet as well. So like when there is no motion, what are we thinking? Like what are we? You know what I mean? Like that's. I think it's incredibly helpful.
Agreed. Agreed.
Yeah, I love that. And I think just to tie all of these points back together, you referenced some of the coaches that you have. And I think that's, oh my gosh, when I heard you tell me about the coaches and the format of like, they started as a participant,
Yeah.
now they're a collegiate athlete, now they're a coach for us, and now they're going to be coaching a collegiate team. Can you walk through that process? Because I think a lot of organizations have been trying to find that succinct pattern of like, oh, you're going to turn from a participant to a staffer to whatever your next journey is, but haven't been able to do it. And I think that, to be honest, I think the component that they're missing is the component of community and an individual like you. You know, like you have to be willing to show up and say, this is the hangout place. It is. It's not what I want it to be right now, because I would love to go get that date or like have that
You are so spot
that
on.
chopped cheese.
Exactly,
But
exactly.
you know,
You are so spot
But-
on. Like, I mean, I remember I was going to go meet my girlfriends for drinks, and I'm like, oh, I had my outfit planned out and everything. Saya came rolling out and like needed to talk, and I was just like my whole body. Like, and she was having a tough time, and it was just like, you know what, y'all, I'm gonna be late.
it'll be an hour.
I'm not gonna make that happy hour. My drink's gonna be full price. But
My drink's gonna be full price.
That's the best line of this cast so far.
but I think, you know, so much is given, much is expected at the same time.
Exactly.
I had really great parents. I had people that have opened doors for me, have had my back. I mean, you saw my sister show up. I mean, but I have built my business on the same sort of schematic and floor plan as my family.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad will get out of bed because there's a fox. you know, so my staff, and I'm laughing because we just had an incident, and two of my staff, they were inebriated, and I'm pretty sure they were crossfaded because I think there was some weed involved. But can we talk about that on here? Sorry about that. But they didn't call their parents. I'm the one that gets the call because like now I gotta get out of bed and come find you, and like, you know what I mean. But it's like you don't understand. I don't think I understood how special it was, because it is an incredible lot of work. Like, I mean, I spend so much money in food. Like, you get that knock. Because I love to cook, so they know there's always food there, but it's time, it's effort. But I think you are so spot on.
Mm-hmm.
You're so right. You have to have someone, because when they know you care,
Yep.
and more importantly, when they know that if you tell them that you're coming, and they know you're gonna show up,
Yep.
no matter how inconvenient it is.
Every time.
They will show up for you, which is why Kyle will show up on his way into his actual job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think it's incredibly special, and I'm so happy that I got to do that. And it's not me; it's my family, because all I did was make it an extension of them.
Mm-hmm.
For really, I very much lead like my parents, which is from behind. I'm gonna make sure everybody's taken care of, and I'm gonna point us in the right direction, and I'm gonna make sure everybody gets there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. Well, you've been able to successfully do that. I mean, just from a track record of having, you know, athletes come out of this community rowing program to collegiate scholarships, full rides, like scenarios where they can be successful off of spending time with you. That's no easy feat.
We're trying, and it's really the people. You know, we've got really great mentors. We've got, you know, Black people that really care and want to and fund things. I think, you know, nobody can, you know, there's so many people that have helped and continue to push and guide and help, you know, and it's really not Brandon. It's definitely the squad, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
You know, it really should be.
Yeah. Well, they welcomed us with open arms. Literally, we walked in and like immediately met with a hello. And
we're a fun bunch. We're a fun bunch. It's usually after the margaritas, but
but those are things that are like omitted, you know, within some spaces like this. And you know, me being in the running world, it's like I can drop in and I could, like, if this was a running space and Marcus and I show up and no one says anything, and then I'm just like, all right, like,
What do I do?
what?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so that's like just simple and easy things that are often omitted to make people feel like they're part of the space, just
Right.
acknowledging.
Right.
So that's like valuable, and to see your work come to fruition, you know, like the leadership and the ways in which you were leading your staff and your team came full circle today, and
Yes.
being able to see it here was
Yes,
awesome.
they're they're great kids. They
So
really
of course,
are.
like the way in which you and your team are nourishing, like family lineages, admittedly, like through like education or like higher ed and having access to that, all the way through, like seeing today, as you mentioned, like auntie and mom, like getting out on the,
Trying it,
yeah, it's just like
yeah.
that's like a whole nother world of like you're
Yeah.
changing like health access and health
Yeah.
outcomes for people.
Wellness, yeah.
Like it's just like huge.
Yeah.
That of course we want to talk about like higher ed and changing that, but
Yeah.
that's just as important. You know, you're changing the
Yeah.
landscape of West Philadelphia here by boats.
Yeah.
You know, and that's
Yeah.
huge. So
Specifically for our community too.
Yeah,
I
sure.
think, you know,
Absolutely.
like,
No
you
doubt.
don't have to, you know, one of my favorite stories, it was like a 67-year-old black woman. She was like, I grew up here and I would see it and I never thought I would ever be able to try it. And she got to try it. And I'm just like, that was such an aha moment. Like, yes,
Yeah.
this is not, she's like, ever since I was a little girl, I wanted to try it, you know? So
Yeah.
no, like this is an option for you. This is a space.
That's great.
And an option.
And we're kind of like towing around it. So we want to create space for you to tell people what BLJ rowing is, and you know the space and environment that you've cultivated, your objective, mission, all that kind of stuff. So we want to create it from your own words. So we'll let you.
I mean, BLJ Community, like our mission is to basically create access to the elite sport of rowing by removing boundaries, creating opportunities, and fostering community. That's literally what we do every day. Now, some days I would like to shoot myself, but I don't. I think removing boundaries is incredibly important because, you know, if you can't afford it, you can still row. You know, a lot of my kids can't get transported here, so we spend an incredible amount of money in Ubers. And I think that that's where some of the other organizations really get tripped up as well. In addition to what you said there's so many more boundaries that my kids have that these other kids do not have. And it's like, I have to think that through. You know, if you are hungry, you can't focus on what I'm telling you because your actual basic needs aren't being met. And, you know, being a Black organization is interesting because people never think I'm in charge, which is also fascinating. Like there was a white guy came up and he was like, I want to talk to the person who owns all of these. And I was like, oh yeah, like how can I help you? He's like, no. I'm like, I want to talk to your boss. I was like,
Yeah, what's up?
I don't have one. And like my staff is like, because we're very Black, but we have a lot of white clients. But it's like so funny because it's like they never assume. And like another white guy was like, a couple weeks later, another white guy was around. He was like, now how did you get to own all of this? And I was just like, times have changed now. We can own
Reparations.
we can own things now. It's like, you know, so like but like these kids are getting this, like this is real time. I can't make this up. And they're like, can you believe this? And I'm like, but they have such confidence and they're so like in your face, but now we're out to like start backing them up. Like, let's not go on the attack.
Yeah.
But wait till they leave, you know. But I think, you know, like that's the kind of stuff that other organizations are not trying to they don't have to deal with, you know, like the disrespect or just the, you know, if you're here, then I can be. So it's like, but even in this, like, or even within our own space, we get disrespected. And there's like, it's such an interesting conversation from like a 40-year-old to like my 20-year-olds to like my 14-year-olds to like our 67-year-olds, and everyone's perspective is different. But what I think is so wonderfully dope is like, that's 4 generations talking about something that we all just experienced, you know what I mean, in this outdoor space, which is like, I'm pretty proud of that.
Yeah. And one point that I know when we chatted was very immediately stated by you was like, I'm not I'm not an outdoor person.
At all.
You said that like
At
immediately
all.
whenever
At all.
we
Oh
spoke.
my goodness. Like I love like sheath dresses and heels and cocktails. This is not my area. And I don't even, you know what I mean?
Well,
I really don't.
What we always say and what I always say is like, we're trying to change the ideology of outdoors. Like that's our focus, because similar to what you have in your sport is what I experience, and I'm sure you've experienced by just going outside.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like either this space isn't for you,
Mm-hmm.
or what are you doing outside, or why are you doing it that way? Are the three things that I always hear.
The third one's good.
Yeah.
Why are you doing that? Yeah, there's a chandelier in my porta potty.
Yeah.
But
Why are you doing it that
I'm
way?
very bougie. So if I have to use a portable toilet, there should be a chandelier in it.
Well, there's a space and a
Period.
purpose for you
Facts.
to define it. I think that's why the outdoor space is boundless in that effort, is you can go in and create the space that you want.
It's a blank canvas, isn't
Yeah.
it?
So why
Really
do
is.
we think of it as a space where there has to be boundaries set up?
That's a great question. That's a great question. I think the society we live in, I think thrives on the distance and the separation. And I think the system is working because we're operating out of fear. And I think everyone is, I'm so fascinated by that. Like everyone is, especially with COVID, I think I saw it so clear. Like this is me and mine, and I've got like fought hard for this, and it's like, we have this moral bankruptcy, and it's really transferring into like this actual bankruptcy where it's like, listen, there's enough to go around.
Yep.
And the outdoors, I think, is the only or one of the first places where we can actually show that. Like nobody owns anything out here. We're all just trying to like live and breathe, and but I think society puts these boundaries in, and I think we really operate on it in a very subconscious way, and I think it's incredibly problematic.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing that I experience is, I've experienced so many things, but I keep saying it's one thing, but it's like
Yeah.
the mindset that you have of abundance, and I think that's in like joy, excitement, passion, community, is so vital. And I seen it and experienced it in this space, because there's so many times that I go places and it's like, oh, this is a deficit mindset. Like, no, you can't do that because you don't have this much funds, or like, nah, you got to use this style of watercraft because that's all we can afford, or whatever it may be. It's like, we can be great, we can have a great experience, and we can define what quality is in our community, because that's what we hold near and dear to our heart. It's not up to anyone else to say, this is worth $50. This is worth $1 million to me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's the value that I receive.
Right. Right.
So I just want to commend you on that, because again, circles and closes the loop on all the conversation thus far. There's so many people that get to what they imagine the value of their product being $100, and they're like, oh, that's not enough, I'm gonna get out. It's like, what does that $100 mean to somebody else? What does that mean to a community member that has $2? That's a lot of net income, if you ask me. Like,
Right. Right.
that's a lot of benefit to somebody.
Well said. Well said.
So,
And admittedly, it stymies like curiosity, as well, when you can't have the latitude to explore, with like coming out and saying like, and like even within the community, the Black and brown community, it's like, nah, we don't row. We don't do that. And it's like, we're just curious, the ways in which that could change and like reshape your life would be huge. Like even when we were out here and just kind of like listening to people like grapple with fear and anxiety around like being out there. And then to see them come and return like off the dock and say like, wow. And then to like reaffirm that they're coming back the next time and talking about the next. It's just like, if we just took that approach of just being curious in other spaces and not like fitting it into a box in a certain respect, it changed the world for so many.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I'm sure
Especially
you
'cause
see
we
that
don't
all the
say
time.
We don't do that. And I love when people are like, oh my God, do you row? Like, we don't do that. And it's like, actually, We do. And
Yeah.
I got like at least 9 motherfuckers
Yeah.
that dust the shit out you. Come
He
on
need his work.
anytime. But stacking miles on miles on miles. So
Come and
we
find
do.
us.
We do. Maybelline, we do. Come on down. Come on and try it.
I love that.
What are you, and this is kind of like a hard right here, like what are you learning nowadays? I mean, you've mentioned so much of like the learning that's gone and taken place as you've scaled the operation of the organization to like the learning that's occurred with coaching and learning from others and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Like, what is Brannon learning now? Like the person as it relates to, or even intersecting outdoors or like unrelated, like what are you learning?
Honestly,
stage?
right now, I just finished Algorithms of Oppression. Because we need to really get into the. I'm so anti-phone and digital,
Okay.
and it really is it's really just as a leader and as I'm learning and talking to my other mentors, and it's really a disservice. Like we really need to spend time there, and
Yeah.
so I'm really taking time to understand just there's this digital space that we need to be very strategic about interacting with and growing with and experimenting with, being curious with. So I'm trying to be really smart about that. I'm also learning about sort of coaching with silence. If I'm present, then my coaches are always going to look to me to make the decisions. And if I'm not, or if I'm silent, so I'm spending a lot more time. You probably saw it today where I'll let them go and then just remove myself.
Mm-hmm.
Patience, learning it a lot.
Yeah.
I can do it faster and better, but that's not the goal. The goal is to let them develop, right? So that means they need to do it wrong. Learning to listen, like 20-year-old problems.
Not the same as your challenges, huh?
Like, no, how you feel is important. And it's really funny because I think, this generation coming up, like they don't have a lot of pain tolerance. They're not really connected to their spirits and not a lot of spirituality, so they can't really sustain anything, can't really create anything. They're not going to finish anything, but they really know how they feel, like immediately, about everything. So I'm just like, this is a very interesting conundrum. So I was talking to a good friend of mine, and it's like once they do pay attention,
Okay.
but not to what you say, to what you do. So I'm fascinated with my girls. I get in my single and I'm, no matter what, I'm getting in my single 3 times a week so I can train myself, and I'm like watching them slowly take a single out on their own time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, it's getting in there. When I'm cursing you out, you're not really hearing me, but you are. So so it's a really interesting, so patience. I'm not a very patient woman.
Okay.
That's probably why I'm single. I'm working on, so I'm writing it down. On it. But I'm learning a lot, and I'm seeing glimmers, and it's like just patient, just be patient.
And those are gems for like that's gold for like the audience, for those that are in a posture of not just coaching but leadership that you just shared at that moment in time. And admittedly, my coaching philosophy and my leadership philosophy has been developed from bad coaches.
Ooh.
Of
Yeah,
having like really poor experiences.
So you know what not to do.
Yeah, physiologically or even like psychologically, emotionally, where you're just like, nah, I can't embed that into like how I'm cultivating an environment.
Okay.
So I love when we have spaces and we can cultivate spaces from others who are in a space in which they're doing, to say like, this is what I'm doing, and like you can do it too.
Gotcha.
Perhaps like you're not in this like environment of like, even like transferring this to like work, like having a poor boss and like seeing what a good boss looks like, things of that nature. I love like when we have guests on that can share and articulate that because it's important for that measure and that what
I'm
we're trying
pretty
to
sure I'm a
cultivate.
bad boss, but you'd have to ask that.
Yeah, we'll check it out.
I'll curse you out, but I will make you dinner. And
But you're gonna eat good.
report.
Yeah. But that in mind, like kind of mentioning that, but I want to take it to the other side of things. You mentioned your family unit and the mentors that you've had that have like poured into you. What did that look like? And that can be like, of course, in the boat and training and like life period, but like, what did that look like for you?
My dad is insane. So, I'm gonna just say that. So, 21 Days of Greatness.
You know he's gonna watch this, right?
He's gonna watch this. But that is absolutely insane. And so am I. But so I can give you this in like one story. He was a huge Franklin Covey, Les Brown. Like, it's just the man. And everything he taught us, which I thought was absolutely insane, I absolutely use today. So 21 Days of Greatness was the thing. Is like, you gotta do 21 Days of Greatness. Everybody, he made it voluntary. It was voluntary to sign up, but he made us all sign up. So it really wasn't. We had to wake up early. Everybody had to do their sport. He made us have time logs.
Okay.
So you had to literally count for every hour of the day. So like if you were like 2 hours on math homework, an hour on Spanish, like an hour on the phone with my girlfriend, he'd be like, this is a time killer. He would go through and tell you where you were wasting your time during the day. And it's so fascinating because he's an entrepreneur. He's an entrepreneur his whole life. My grandpa's an entrepreneur, my father, and then myself. So I'm a third generation entrepreneur, but like time is money.
Yeah.
What I can extract out of a day is insane because he's like by the hour. So now if I need to have like a mindset change, I literally do 21 Days of Greatness. It's absolutely insane. My staff makes fun of us. Like everybody's like, I just put myself on 21 Days of Greatness. It's the cutest thing. But I think, the lessons he taught, should be in colleges. I learned more from that man than I did in any college or university. And then my mom is incredibly emotionally intelligent. So she knows people. And she's incredibly nurturing. And I think I learned to care for people from her. So I think the combination of those two made me crazy. But I think this beautiful thing that we've created absolutely came from that experience. So it's definitely going to be. It was wild. It was a little wild. But I'm going to say it's definitely those two for sure.
So we got two final things before we wrap up.
Okay.
One is a broader question. You can take it however you'd like. We normally ask people that are in a sport what the future of that sport is going to be from your lens. So what do you believe, 20 years from now, the future of rowing will look like? It could be identity-wise. It could be maybe the sport is going to move to, who knows, e-powered boats. Like, I don't care where you're thinking, but what do you believe the future of rowing will look like?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think the future of rowing, rowing's going to change because it has to. And I think, Craig and I talk about all the time, there's so much diversity work that people want to do and they want to participate in. And I've really started to understand the difference between the people that want to participate in diversity, but they don't really necessarily want to see you do well. I've started to also really, double down on excellence and speed and professionalism can come out of our house, and I think the sport is going to have to change because we're getting better. And we're getting faster, and we're getting smarter, and you know, the kids coming up behind me are gonna be better than me. So I really feel sorry for y'all. And you know, I'll probably be in a moo with like 6 gold chains and like a glass of wine, but I'll be sitting on the back of the launch still adding in my 2
I
cents.
told you so.
But I told you. But I think we're really gonna see this influx of young kids that have the discipline, like Lord, they have discipline, that have the work ethic, that rugged sense of somebodiness, and I think they're going to stand their ground, and I think they're going to be fast. And when you have that combination, everyone has to take notice, and you have to change. Because I'm not here because someone allowed me to be. I'm here because I'm supposed to be, because I'm faster than you.
Yeah.
That's where the magic is, you know? So I mean, I so appreciate growing up in this sport and going to a very, very Black home and being in this very, very white sport, because it's like, you know, did you win? And it's not like how you felt. Like, well, somebody called me the N-word and I lined up and this girl, she said, nigga, right before I shoved. And then my dad's like, well, did you beat her?
Yeah.
Right? So it's like we start to understand like the currency.
Yeah.
And I made it on this team because I deserve to be here because I beat you. And I think we're getting to this space in the sport now where people are going to change, and we're not asking for it.
Yeah.
We're just going to be faster.
Yeah. Time and splits count.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
So I'm really excited for that.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for that as well. You know, being a novice within this space. I mean, I was like, as mentioned, when I got here, I was in a posture to learn. It's like, show
Not
me.
in the boat, though.
Yeah, not the boat. Yeah, not the boat.
I was on the shore in a posture to learn.
But like, show me, like,
Right.
tell me, like, talk to me, like, break this down for me. And everyone, like Craig and the team, like everyone was just like, yeah, like, this is it.
Yeah.
And like breaking it down for me, so it was awesome to do that. But I'm as excited.
But I also think
for you.
that's also specific to you guys. Like, I think, you know, a lot of people come in with like their own ego and their own. You guys came in like really ready to like, you can tell you enjoy what you do and enjoy talking to people, because everybody warmed right up to you. Like, that's such a lovely way to enter a space. You know, like everybody was talking about you guys. So that's an absolute compliment for you for how you guys handle and build your work. It's really nice.
Yeah.
This was not terrible.
Authentic.
I'm
The
not
product's
having a
not
terrible
trash.
time.
Yeah.
Product is not trash.
That's our catchphrase.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
But,
I'm gonna have to steal that. Our product is not trash.
We're gonna see it
I
on a
like
boat
that.
next time when you visit.
I like that a lot. I'm gonna steal that on a T-shirt.
Yeah.
But that's the mission, is like for authentic conversation and to like to be in the space, because we like, even in running spaces where I'm kind of good at running, I'm not like going into it. And Marcus is pretty good at what he does as well. We're not going into spaces being like, oh, we know it all.
Right,
Because
right.
there's still space to learn, even in spaces in which I know a lot.
Right,
So again, just being in that posture of learning, but also curiosity. I mean, the ways in which you do things could be like totally different than the ways in which people down the river do things, you know?
Exactly.
And
They are.
This is true. This is a fact.
So it's like, that's like the part of like coalescing and creating something that's really like powerful. It's
Right.
like learning different techniques and different ways in which you're about to do things. So the final question that we have for you, outside of shout outs, is like, what's your next adventure? Whether it's a race, whether it's like evolving in a certain capacity, like what's next for you?
Our next adventure is, well, next week we're gonna go be hanging out in Craig. We're gonna be in New York rowing. But our next adventure is BLJ trip to Turkey.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So about
International.
6, 7 of us. Yeah, we're gonna go hang out in Turkey. Yeah, so I'm really excited about that. Like, it's nice to. I think we're branching out into, I guess, traveling now together. So we'll just see. But yeah,
Wow.
I'm actually excited to see how. It might be terrible. You never know.
Oh, that's exciting. Tell
But
us
yeah.
a little bit about, like, is it like the crew, you guys rowing, you competing?
We're not gonna row.
Okay.
I think we might get in boats one day, but it's
Okay.
just the crew, and it's, you know, it kind of just organically sort of happened where it's like 2 people wanted to go, then it became
Yeah.
4, then it became 6. But I think it's like, again, it's just the community. It's just like everybody's like in and out talking. You know, 2 people were going out for drinks, another person was going for, you know.
Yeah.
And it was one of those summer sessions now, especially on the weekends. It's like that 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 crew. Somebody's usually got wine in the car, and then it's like the chairs come out, and it's like I'm coming in and getting people out, and it's just like, oh, I'm just watching the tent crowd grow.
Yeah.
And then pizza gets ordered, and then it's like, oh, let's just throw the grill on, and then it's like, oh,
Yeah.
it's 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
I'm gonna collect keys, or you're gonna go home. And it became one of those nights. Everybody was just chatting, so it became a thing. That's our next international adventure. I think domestically we have a race coming up, so we are going to compete end of the month, and then just stacking days. I'm really hitting it hard with my staff to be and my athletes where we're into that stacking days. Like I really want us to be in that mindset where we're enjoying the day. If you enjoy the process, you know, like it's hot. Nobody feels like it. We're sweating our balls off. I'm sorry. But like stacking days, if you have more days, like happiness is so conditional. You know what I mean? It's about joy. It's about the process. It's about Monday, Tuesday. It's how many days are you stacking where you're actually putting in the work? So that I'm making that the adventure right now for us.
We want to open the space for shout outs.
Okay.
Do you want to shout out anyone from the team, mom, dad? And how can we follow you? Any way that we can engage
BLJ
socially?
Community Rowing. Follow us on Instagram. Do not follow Johnson Brannon because that's my personal one, and there's a lot of swear words on there. Our website is BLJ Community Rowing. Shout outs would be to like everyone, my parents, everybody from the commissioners, which is like some of our funders, Fairmount Park Conservancy, Girl Trek, who you saw today. You guys, I mean, we would have never even done this. We're just like, a film crew's coming? Okay, whatever that means. Just like volunteers. I mean, we've been out here since 7?
Wow.
So my volunteers are amazing. My coaches, they really killed it. They are getting so good. And really just thank you for this space. I guess I've never done this before. Like sat and talked about the work. I'm actually kind of inspired. Like, okay, I should have a better attitude.
And there's
Tomorrow though.
And there's problems with people, and I have a serious problem with people such as yourself not ever doing anything like this, because that's the reason why we've created this, because oftentimes it's up the river, you know, the podcasts and the film crews and the newscasts and the interviews and everything that's not here. And that's not to say that you aren't doing it, because clearly you are. But that's why we do what we do.
Yeah. No, I have not done this. This was really cool.
Hopefully it's not the last. We hope we create this.
Like I'm good.
We hope we create this stream for you of like people being like, we gotta tap in with Brannon.
I think we nailed it. Like I don't really need to. Next time we'll just go have dinner.
Oh, I love that.
I'm good.
And with that, it's going to be a wrap.
Yeah, we're recording. You can't be on a podcast. This is my sister. Podcast people.
Yeah. The co-owner of BLJ Rowing, right?
Sister in chief.